chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Ultimate Podcast. Thank you very much for being with us tonight, this morning, wherever you are listening from. We have 2-2 draw against the champions-elect to talk about. And then we have the game against Bristol City, which will be on Saturday. And we will also discuss the fact that all the bookmakers seem to think we're safe. Don't get it, but we'll talk about it. We have a full house with us tonight. We have Mick with us. Hello, Michael.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm very, very good. Danny's back with us. How you doing, Danny?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. And just in time, Joy from London Millers is with us. How you doing, Joy?
Yeah, just about made it, lads.
First of all, we need to mention Kimbo Sports, as we haven't mentioned them in a few weeks. They are the sports retailer, sports kit suppliers for the local company. Trying to get the ground. So if you do need new kit for next season, for this season, they do kids and adult sizes, 5-side, 6-side, 11-side, whatever you need. Go to kimbosports.co.uk and have a look at what you can see. You'll be able to find the New York Top hats, which are still available. And use the code NYT, and that'll get you 20% off whatever your purchase is. Excellent customer service from our friends over there, even if it is a Wednesday night. Just ignore that. We've got loads of people with us in the comments. Josh H, Sarah Ogden, Kim Haywood, Drooks is with us, Harvey, Dean, Cal, Michael, Dean. There's loads of ways tonight. Thank you all for news. Grace is with us and David Lawton. Grace Kelly says, evening, everybody. Georgie Kelly has done it again. Yes, he has. Yes, he has done it again. It's a difficult one to know where to start. There's quite a lot to unpack from the 2-2 draw, to be honest with you, Mick. Start with the goals. Let's start with the goals because there's quite a lot of incident in between the goals to talk about. We set up in back to a 4-3-3, basically. I think I'm right in saying. It seems a long time ago now. The first half initially, average for us. I thought it was a pretty average start, but we contained them fairly well, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say so. They like the pretty football, don't they? And they tapped it around really, really well at back, and they created one or two chances. They made us look sort of. They put us in danger a few times, but never really threatened. Never really threatened the goal. So I think I suspect. The opening sort of salvos in that game were what Matt Taylor was hoping to achieve against Luton, and he did a better job of it, or we did a better job of it. The team did a better job of it on Tuesday night. So it was a bit worrying to start with, but as we'll discuss, that kind of changed, didn't it?
It did very much so. John Morell says, think they've proved their pretty football has worked this season, Nick. Yeah, I suppose it has.
Yeah, they have, and I can't deny that. I can't deny it, much as I would like to. We'll come on to it. We'll come on to Burnley at some stage.
Well, you got some grind.
Well, I mean, the Burnley, Rotherham of the Premier League, Man City of the Championship, aren't they? You know what I mean? That's essentially how they see themselves. It would appear.
Okay, let's move on from that. We'll come back to that. The first goal, Joy, is obviously important, especially against Burnley. There's not against a team like Burnley. There are no teams like Burnley this season. There is Burnley. But on the goal itself, they played really wide. It caused us a lot of problems. I don't think I've seen a team play so wide at New York Stadium. And they were always going to get those options. And to be fair, it's a really, really good finish. I don't think Vickers has got any chance with it. Scott Twine's made a really nice run. For me, I just got to doff your cap a little bit. I think it's a good goal.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a good goal. I mean, they were finding quite a lot of space down their right-hand side and our left, I think. I don't know whether that was personnel on our behalf. But, yeah, I mean, the few times it went down that their right-hand side, and the cross was pinpoint, wasn't it? And, I mean, he just came onto it into the box. And when I was there, I thought he'd scuffed it at first, but then when I saw it live, it was a really good half volley, wasn't it? I mean, and he couldn't have placed it any better. I mean, Vickers didn't even move, did he? He was rooted to the spot, and everybody was looking around as to who was picking up twine. Well, nobody was he? But no, I mean, you got to like you say, tip your cap to them because it was a very good goal. But I mean, I mean, watching, I agree with you, Mick. They are the Man City in inverted commas of the Championship, which they're going to be. They've got Vincent Kompany, ex-City player, and you could see the way that they play, sort of, try to mimic that sort of bit, passing, quick passing, and they were very good at finding the spaces between us as well. Particularly in that first half. I mean, some of it, I mean, you just have to sort of say that was really well played. That was good play. I found myself saying that a couple of times, at least in the first half. And I wouldn't say we were hanging on in that first half. I thought we were very resilient, and I think the defence did very well apart from the goal. And when Vickers seemed to do his groin by running out into no man's land, they were the only two things that I can actually think of that were problematic, but in that first half particularly. But they deserved their lead at the point that they got it. And I remember at the point that we got that corner saying, if we get anything from this, it's a little bit of a smash and grab. And lo and behold,
that's almost exactly what I said to Mick.
Exactly what he said, yeah. Precisely what he said.
Yeah. I mean, they will say, Mick, that they were wasteful, and they have said that. But Vincent Kompany says something along the lines of they were very wasteful. I think that's been quite harsh on Burnley. I thought they were good with the ball, but we just stopped them creating anything. They had a couple of chances. Vickers had a couple of saves to make, nothing of note, particularly in the first half. They were good, but they never threatened. They never massively threatened other than that goal and the wonder goal in the second half. And the odd chance. I don't think they weren't dominant, were they?
No, they weren't. And I'll go so far as to say, and I'm sure you will correct me if I'm wrong here. They had two chances in the game, realistically. The one that they scored, that Scott Twine scored, and then the one that was saved, because the second goal wasn't even a chance. No, it was just a wonderful goal. It weren't as though it had been a beautiful bit of football, creating an opening and slotting it through. He just absolutely, it was a carbon copy of the goal he scored. The same player, the same substituted player, scored when we played at Burnley. But I mean, you could argue it wasn't actually a chance. He created it all by himself, that goal. So listen to Vincent Kompany talk about being wasteful with chances, and they created so much. They didn't at all. But that's not the narrative that people like Kompany want to portray, is it? So, and particularly against teams like Rotherham. So it is what it is. But I thought we restricted them very, very well for much of the game, to be honest. But certainly in the second half. Yeah,
and I know we get some bites off Burnley fans. So what I would say is we're not trying to wind Burnley fans up here. I think we all think, certainly the first half, Mick, is that Burnley were the better team. And if Burnley went in 2-0 up at half time, I don't think any of us would probably have complained.
No.
But Burnley didn't create enough in that first half to get that second goal. Johnny, do you think that's fair? Am I being too harsh on us, too harsh on Burnley? What do you think?
Was that me? Sorry.
No, Danny. If he's with us.
So, sorry. I have got a huge lag going on at the minute. But I think I'm here if I have my camera turned off. Anyway, what was the question? I think I missed half of it.
Do you think we're being fair on Burnley? Do you think we're being fair in saying Burnley were is Vincent Kompany right saying they were wasteful, or are we just saying we just restricted them?
Oh no, we restricted them, definitely. It's not down to Burnley being one of the best teams in Championship history or anything like that. I think we just restricted them really well, and I think Vincent Kompany is overrated. No, that is back. material. That is bad. Burnley were wasteful. I think Scott Swine was actually fairly lucky to get his goal, if I'm being honest, because it sort of came off his shin pads. But in terms of restricting Burnley, yes, we did to a point. I thought we were lucky to be going in at 1-1 at half time because they were the better team, really. I think we just twisted the screw in the second half, conceded to an absolute wonder goal. But it was down to our resilience and pure desire that we got a goal back. And I think 2-2 over the full 90 minutes is probably a fair result.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. John Morell says, wait a minute, you mean the internet has reached Burnley? Some parts of Burnley. Some parts. Mike the Miller says, well,
Danny's gone.
Joy's gone this time. Having one tonight. Mike the Miller says, Ferguson ball watched allowed the guy who made the cross to pick out a pass to Scott Twine. Yeah, I think it did, but that was just how wide they mentioned it a minute ago, Mick. I'd never seen a team play as wide as they did. They had two guys stood literally on the touchline for 90 minutes. And that's such a unique way of playing. I can imagine it's quite difficult to defend against. But obviously,
absolutely. They were. You're absolutely right. I mean, they literally choke on the boots, didn't they? You know, they were so wide. That 22 on their left as they were kicking towards the Rotherham end. When he wasn't rolling about on the floor screaming, he was very, very close to that touchline, weren't he? But yeah, it creates a problem for teams, and that's clearly why Colin Bramall played because of his pace. And to be fair, yeah, they created and a few chances down that side, but I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. Phil says plenty of possession threats from the wide areas, but in front of goal they went negligible, which I think is a fair assessment. Dean Kittler says pressing in the second half was excellent. Yeah, we'll come on to the second half in a moment. Our first goal, Joy, it's gone down as an own goal, which I think is probably fair. As always happens when we score from a corner, it's just chaos. A great corner. I don't know how you feel about it. I've watched it back a couple of times. I think it's a foul on the keeper. I think Chio's backed into Peacock Farrell. It might have been a bit lightweight, but if it's the other way, I might be shouting for a foul there. What do you think?
I hear what you're saying, Matt, but I'm not going to accept it. It's a goal. It's an own goal.
That's fine.
No, I mean, the guy on that far post could have done better. I mean, he just kicked it against his own player and it bounced in off of him and behind Peacock Farrell. I mean, let's be honest. He's an international keeper. He shouldn't be faffing about, flailing his arms like that. He should take command of his area. And if the Bobby Madley didn't pick it up, well, it's just tough bananas, isn't it? You know, it's in the back of the net, 1-1. Whistle blown for half time. Smash and grab.
Yeah.
It's payback for that goal that we got disallowed against Coventry.
Yeah. Fair point. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
No, but I mean, Ferguson, you know, I mean, when he gets his delivery right, he is spot on, isn't he? I mean, you know, puts it on a sixpence. Well, not every time, but, you know, at least 50% of the time. And let's be honest, Woody were lurking with malicious intent, shall we say, as well. So, you know, there was a lot going off in the area as it happened. And we didn't realise it where I was sat in the Pucker Pie stand. I didn't realise it had gone in until sort of the players were sort of running away and everybody's going, has it got in? Has it got in? Because we couldn't see from our angle. But yeah, there's a bit of a sort of a delay, wasn't there, to the to the cheer, because I don't think anybody had appreciated that it had gone over the line.
No, and it's one of those you almost expect the ref's going to blow for something anyway, because it was just kind of like they tend to get overprotected keepers anyway. Danny, to say it was undeserved, Danny, is that the right word? Because I think they maybe should have been ahead, but undeserved, maybe we were ruining the game a little bit in the first half.
Yeah, I think undeserved is a little bit strong. I think lucky to get a goal, I think is more fitting because the circumstances in which we scored were lucky. You know, Ferguson sent in that absolute sweet as a nut corner on his left foot, very similar to Blackburn. And it's come off one player, come off the other, and then it's gone in. And you're right, Joy, there was a massive delay in everyone celebrating because we all thought he's either blown for the foul on the keeper, which I don't think was a foul. I think Chio's just outstrengthened the keeper because we saw it in the second half where he outstrengthened the defender and got a shot off. But I think, I said to a few people, we were lucky to be at 1-1. But I think even if we'd gone in half time at 1-0 down, we would have gone out second half with the desire to get a goal back. And I think that's where our fresher feeling in the second half came from, because I think in the second half we looked the better team.
Yeah. John, I think sums up quite nicely. No such thing as undeserved in this league. You don't take your chances, you get thumped in the face, so to speak. And I think that's more like it. We've been on the back end of that, haven't we? How many times have Rotherham United been on the back end of other team getting a little bit of luck and things like that? So it was nice to get a bit of flashing our way. We'll come on to the whole goalkeeping situation in a little bit. We've got to talk about the injury, which led to the change. Josh Vickers came off injured. Johnny mentioned it a minute ago, but he came running out into no man's land and did himself a bad one. It was clear within seconds of him going back and sitting down in his own goal. It was obvious he was not going to come out in the second half. He tried, but he was fighting a losing battle. He was in pretty bad state. He couldn't kick the ball, could he?
No, there was no way we're coming back out, were there? No matter how hard he tried, it was obvious. I mean, we got Cam Humphries taking goal kicks. That's not sustainable against top of league for 45 minutes. It's just not going to happen. Matt Taylor had no choice but to bring on Humphrey, which, as it turned out, weren't a bad third choice, was it really, for that second half? So, I'm not really sure what Josh Vickers were doing really, but being a goalkeeper, it's you've got all these decisions to make, whether you're going to come, whether you're not, and he came and he shouldn't have done, and it puts us in a difficult position for the remaining 4 games, which is a worry. Which again, I'm sure we'll come on to, but you can't really blame him for it, can you?
No.
It is what it is. Luckily, it didn't impact the game.
Luckily, very luckily. I still don't know where we thought we were going. Robbie Humphrey, though, came on for a debut, and as a goalkeeper, we didn't win the game. That's the only way it could have got better, but he did everything that was asked from him, other than a bit of dodgy kicking. His shot stopping was good. Once he got a touch of the ball, he grew into the game, and for a league debut as a 21-year-old kid, it was mightily impressive, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he covered himself with glory. I mean, at the beginning of that second half, they really went for it for that first 5 or 10 minutes. And I think that's when he made the bulk of the saves that he did. There was that save he made, and then that cross into the middle that he half spilled and then reclaimed, and I think, and me and the guy I sit next to said, that's what he needed. He needed that to calm him down, because you could see he was a bit jittery, that first kick that he made. I mean, as we've alluded to, there were 1 or 2 dodgy kicks, but when he did catch it right, it did go where it needed to go. And when obviously at the same time putting Kelly on, I thought they worked well in tandem with those long goal kicks to Kelly, and he got his head on a lot of them, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely did. Yeah, that's obviously the second change at half time, Danny, and I think that was Georgie Kelly's best overall performance in Rotherham shirt. I thought the energy was there. I thought he was winning loads of balls. He obviously scored because Georgie Kelly, and that's what Georgie Kelly does. But I thought Georgie Kelly was excellent, Danny. And if there is going to be a slight issue with Hugo on Saturday, which there might be with illness still, Georgie Kelly's shown that he can. There's always been question marks this season, haven't there? There's always been moments where I thought, is Georgie Kelly right at this level? He looks a bit slow, this, that, and the other. Tuesday was one of those games where I thought, I can see him doing something at this level,
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, Georgie came on and put on an absolute steamroller of a performance. And I thought he came on and his movement was good. I mean, if you watch the movement for his goal, which we'll talk about in a little bit later on, his movements come on so much recently, which maybe it's that little spell out of being a regular sub, shall we say. And he sort of worked on his positioning and worked on his overall game more. but that ability to finish that he's got will probably always be with him, because that's something that you don't learn. He just knows where the onion bag is, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he sort of comes on the pitch, and from the first minute, he's at it straight away. It's almost as if he wants to score himself from immediately coming on. He's going to do everything that he can to get it. And yeah, I think it's one of Georgie's best performances in a Rotherham shirt. It was sort of like a bit more of an extended period, but he sort of still put himself about quite a lot. He's usually a later sub into Georgie, but I believe he came on at half time, didn't he?
Yes.
So he's put in more of an extended period, and he's put in an absolute shift of 45 minutes of football. And I think Hugo will probably be back for the Bristol City game, because I think he's had bed rest today. But even if Hugo was out and Georgie came in, he adds that completely different dynamic to the front line. I'd say Hugo's better at his overall centre forward game, shall we say. But I would say Georgie has the movement, and when we depend on like crosses into the box and set pieces, when you've got Kelly's movement, he'll distract defenders enough to bring someone else into the fray or get the goal himself, like we saw with Chio's delivery.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Where Adrak says, when on song, in my opinion, he's a better all-rounder than Hugo. Needs a long run of games. Yeah. I just thought even there was obviously a problem with Hugo, Nick, which we mentioned, which was, I assume, the illness. He just gave the extra little burst of energy, didn't he? And mobility is what, when you're going to play Burnley and you want to put them under pressure, which we did. I thought we pressed them for the most part for most of the game. You need that sort of focal point to be full of energy. Chio doesn't bring he's quick, but he doesn't bring the energy. Hugo couldn't bring the energy. So Georgie came on and just that's the type of performance we need to see from him going forward as his overall game.
It's going to be interesting to see how he progresses, because he is the only natural goal scorer at this football club, and they are a rare breed, natural goal scorers. You go back to like the likes of Ronnie and Alfie, Rodney Fern, not going really far back, and Kelly is in that mould. He knows exactly. You give him the ball in that box, and he is going to hit the target. There's 99 times out of 100 he's going to hit the target. If he's working in training with players like Hugo and Connor Washington, and he can learn the movement that they've got within that area as well, a bit more fitness on top of that, and he's going to be unstoppable. He is a very, very good player. His age is against him a little bit now. He's into his sort of
26, I think. Now.
Yeah, 26, 27. So he could have done really been other in this country maybe a couple of years earlier to hone his trade, but he has the potential. I agree with Adrak there. I think he is probably a better all-rounder than Hugo, because he can score goals, and he will and continues to prove that he is that goal scorer. So it'd be interesting to see whether we can get him a bit fitter, get him a little bit more pace, a little bit quicker up there. And if he gets that, then he's got a bright future in front of him. And he's capable of playing at this level, no doubt, in my view, no doubt at all. Yeah.
If it came to it, Joy, let's say Hugo, we think Hugo will be back, but if Hugo's not fit for Saturday, would you be more than happy for Georgie to get a start Saturday?
Not a problem at all. I mean, they're quite different, aren't they, as centre-forward players? I think Hugo sort of stands and occupies that middle ground, and 9 times out of 10 he does get the header on. But as we've said, Kelly is the more natural finisher. I mean, when you think about it, the opportunities Hugo may or may not have had, at half time we had no shots on target. I think at the end of the game we'd had about 5 or 6, and I think 4 of those came from Kelly. I mean, the first one was that header sort of from the penalty spot area. I mean, the keeper threw his cap on it, but it was on target, and he knows he can find the goal, can't he?
Yeah, he does. He just knows where it is. He's just got that knack. And then Danny, let's talk about just the half in general. They were the first initial changes. Wes came on for Fergie on 62 when I think we switched to a flat 5. Keena came off 70 minutes, and Connor came off for Wilesy the last 5. What were you feeling, Danny? We're all sitting there. They end up scoring on the 81st minute, but up until 75 minutes, were you sort of thinking, there's something, I said to make there's something in this game for us? Did you sort of get the same feeling? Because I felt we started to properly match them.
Yeah, I agree. We just saw it building and building and building, and I was thinking, hey, we could sneak something here. And then, of course, Burnley go and score the wonder goal, don't they? And to be completely honest, I have no qualms with that goal other than Fosu's terrible misplaced pass that led to it.
You blame Fosu, you blaming Chio, because Chio weren't the quickest to react to it.
I'm not blaming either of them. Okay. It's sort of that's where the root cause of their opportunity came from. I think if you have to put blame to it, you sort of have to say Fosu could have took his time with his pass a little bit more, but you can't blame any players when they dig out a quality finish like that. Very similar to the goal that he scored against us at Burnley's place, with the cut inside and then the absolute cracking effort. So I've got no qualms with that. We've just been undone by a moment of quality, which in the Championship, that happens sometimes. They have a moment of quality and you just have to go, right, fair play. But the important thing from that is our heads didn't go down after it. We still went, we can get something out of this game. And it went by really quickly. And then Georgie's chance appeared.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. And that's one of the things, Mick, before QPR game, or West Brom game, sorry, when we went behind and came back to win for the first time, there was this little thing hanging over our heads, really. I think we've got 1 point or something like that from losing positions, obviously the worst in the league. And Attila's managed to turn that around, because when we go behind now, it's not a death sentence for the game. Mm-hmm. There is a much more life in this team. There's much more confidence. It's taken him literally 4 or 5 months, but he has got this team to a place where they seem to don't know where they're beaten. Even against the very best teams, they're not giving up like they were around the time of the post-World Cup and things like that. We seem to be in a really, really good place in terms of that spirit.
Yeah, we do definitely. And I mean, it's not bad. It's only taken 42 games to get to that stage, isn't it? But I mean, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. But I'll just bang on about the same things podcast after podcast, don't I? But it's about playing with that intensity, and that's what we did. We did it against West Brom, and we did it against them on Tuesday night. And when we get results, when we play like that, we're not a team that is capable of sitting back and soaking up the pressure. That's not the personnel that we've got. And if we go behind and continue to attack, we will get something out of the game, as we've proved. So yeah, it's probably the best time of the season to have that, for the squad to have that realization that, hang on a minute, even if we go behind, we can still get something out of this. It's a great time of the season to realize it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And that culminated in the goal, Joy. We were quite intense in the second half. That stepped up again after we conceded. Bit of dodgy defending, from their defending, flicking it onto Chio. But Chio's done really, really well. Great composure from Chio, because he could have done a number of things when he picked the right option. And Georgie Kelly's, we just talked about a minute about Georgie Kelly being a goal scorer. That's goal scorer's movement. That's classic number 9 movement. And New York went mad.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it came from a throw-in, didn't it? Which Harding sort of didn't make the best job of, but Humphreys sort of half saved it with that header, knocked it back down to Harding. He crossed the ball in, got that fortuitous little nick off the defender straight into Chio's path, and like you said, took it to the byline, got his head up for a change, got the cross in for a change, and that half-yard step back that Kelly did, that's what got that goal, isn't it? Because if you remember, Lindsay was also steaming in, which could have put him off as well. But he took that sort of half a step back, didn't he, from the goal, and just slotted it in. It was class finish. Wasn't it? I don't think it was as easy as it. He made it look either. But
no, I mean, he took the keeper by surprise as well, didn't it? The keeper looked way expecting it. Yeah, because
he was a bit flat-footed, wasn't he? I mean, there's just one. Can I just make another couple of comments? And I know Keane went off on 70 odd minutes, but I thought he had a really good game, and to the point that he was erroneously, in my opinion, booked. But when you saw some of the other fouls that were going on. But I thought the whole midfield had an excellent game as well. Coventry showed up again. Lindsay ran his blood to water. We actually had a midfield yet again, and the midfield seemed to have found their mojo again after it being missing pre-West Brom.
Yeah, big time. Danny, did you think we were going to go and get a winner? Because they got my hopes up that we might just sneak it. I genuinely felt after the goal, if one team was going to score, it was going to be us.
Yeah. I mean, in the latter stages of that game, it could have gone both ways, but I do think we were just edging Burnley. I think Kelly scoring and really got to him a little bit. I thought they looked, because you see the celebrations of when was it Benson who scored their wonder goal? Yeah. It's you see their celebrations. They think they've won the game. The inflatable trophies are out and everything is in the crowd. They think they've won it, and then Kelly goes and gets it, and I think it really deflated them. And like you see Chio's chance later on, no one's gone forward with him, but he still out-muscles their defender and digs a shot out. And, fair play to Peacock Farrell, he does get a hand to it. But it's a very tight angle to score from. But we still have a go. That's the important thing. We still went forward and had a go. We didn't go, right, 2-2, we're going to sit back on that. Because if you listen to our fellow commentary, I believe it was Les Payne who was co-commentator. He was saying, right, don't throw it away now, like defend it. But we went and attacked it. And I really did think we had a winner in us. I really did. We took the game to Burnley, and out of the two teams, I think Burnley left with a bloody nose because we shocked them, and that's the result we should have had at Turf Moor. It should have been 2-2, barring a dodgy refereeing decision. And I think that result is one of intent that, we can be in this league. We can stand up to the team that was on course to match the record points, but now can't match it because we drew with them.
Yeah. John Morel says, hopefully, for your sake, it hasn't deflated them too much as they have QPR at the weekend. Yeah, well, they can win the title at home at the weekend. So that's
done them a favour.
Done them a favour, correct. Yeah. If you want to win the league, you want to do it at home, don't you? So we're
absolutely. So all you whining Burnley fans who have been having a pop on social media, we've done you a favour because more of you can yourselves with Championship. Just think about your own fans as well instead of just yourselves. Come on.
Yeah. We mentioned this in the post-match, and I think, again, it's sort of an interesting tab, but 12% of all the goals that Burnley have conceded this season against Rotherham United, against little old Rotherham United. That's mightily impressive for me. It means nothing. There's no points for it. Well, there's 1 point for it, I suppose. But impressive that we've taken the game to the best team in the league twice, and I'm quite proud that we've done that. I don't think many other teams would have done that to them over both games. So that's something. The final thing that happened on the pitch, Mick, was after the game. Matt Taylor can get angry, as it turns out. So anybody who didn't see this, I'm sure you've all seen on John Morel. Congratulations on your 12% trophy.
Hey, we're after that 18th place trophy, John.
Yeah. So Matt Taylor got very unhappy with the Burnley subs who were doing their warm down and were doing it in front of our cot, which would have been in the way of our players taking the applause from our fans. Any Burnley fans that are interested, it's not a lap of honour, but our players like to take the applause from the fans. It's a mutual respect thing we've got going off. I don't know if you guys do it or not. Mick, was Matt Taylor right? I suppose.
Yeah.
Was he actually angry? Because he was angry.
100%. And this is probably one of the reasons, the principle of this is one of the reasons why I have an issue with Vincent Kompany. Because him and his team, I don't mean his football, I don't mean the players, I mean his coaching team, have go out of their way to be disrespectful to the opposition. And that's exactly what that was. That for me, that was a deliberate. They did that deliberately because you've got a half a pitch with a full football team and coaching staff walking around and a completely empty half, except for the Burnley fans at one end, and they decide to use the half where everybody else is. In my view, it's a petty classless, deliberate act. And I think Matt Taylor saw it that way. And I think he was absolutely right to deal with it the way he dealt with it. It's childish and classless. It really is. And I'm really, really impressed with the way Matt Taylor dealt with that.
John Morrell, Craig Bellamy as assistant. Are you surprised?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Joy. People in the comments the same sort of thing. Are you the same thing as Mick, or do you think it was just a bit brainless?
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think there's a certain amount of arrogance that comes across from Burnley and their coaching staff and Mr. Company. I mean, that's the second game against us that he's refereed the match from the technical area. You know, it's just disrespectful to your competitors and your opponents. You know, we know where we are in the pecking order. But, you know, let's be brutally honest. It's not that long since we were beating them 6-2 at bloody Turf Moor, excuse my French. But, you know, people have got short memories, haven't they? You know, they have a little taste of that barmaid's premiership and, you know, they go giddy with it, don't they? Yeah. You know, and, you know, like you said, Mick, next season they're going to be the Rotherham of the Premiership.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, they want to be mindful of that and expecting the sort of arrogance that they showed towards us and possibly other teams that they've played shown towards them next time. It'd be interesting to see if Company's mini Manchester City rip-off tactics work with the Burnley players next season in the Premiership, won't it?
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. I don't think it will, but we will wait and see. Danny, just any final thoughts on that? I just like Matt Taylor a little bit more after it, to be honest with you.
Oh, if looks could kill, good grief. The absolute venom in Matt Taylor's eyes. I don't know what Burnley's fitness coach said to him, but it majorly upset him. And I agree. I think I don't know whether there was a signal to go and do it, or whether they just didn't think, and that we were just sent down there. I'm not sure, but usually when you've drawn, won, or lost, or just played a game of football against somebody with fans, you go and do your cool down in front of your fans, because then you can show your appreciation for the fans travelling X amount of miles, and that's why it leaves a bit of a sting when they go into it in front of the home fans. It just stinks of arrogance to me. And yeah, no wonder Taylor was upset. When I spotted what they were doing, it annoyed me as well. And that's why our fans in that corner booed him. But yeah, it's just part and parcel of a team that's come down from the Premier League, have done exceptionally well in the Championship, and have just got face on that they've not beaten a team like Rotherham. But I tell you, before we move on, we should be beating teams like Burnley after that performance.
Oh, I don't like it, eh?
Nibble. Let's see how many I can catch with that.
John Morrell says their fans, when they play Burnley, their fans had the cheek to shout "oof" to the opposition fans every other week. Couldn't believe their ears. Yeah, it's like they've not watched Burnley for the last 10 years.
Well, let's be fair. Some of them probably haven't.
Some probably haven't. I don't mind Burnley as well. I enjoyed them in the Premier League. I really enjoyed them in the Premier League, but I just don't like this sort of we're better than everybody else. I can only assume it comes from the manager. I don't know. I can only assume it comes from the manager, but I don't know.
That's exactly my point. It comes from manager, and you can tell when you listen to Vincent Kompany and his interviews, he's got very, very little class. And speaking as a father, I am very disappointed in him. Genuinely disappointed in him, because as a player, I thought he came across as a player with some class, some respect for the opposition, and no shortage of ability as well. But as a manager, the attitude he seems to show to the opposition is very, very disrespectful and not becoming of a professional manager. He's had a very, very good season. He's done an excellent job with a multi-million-pound squad, I might add. But he's done an excellent job. But one swallow doesn't make a summer. And next season, when he's languishing down the bottom of the Premier League, then maybe, just maybe, he might get a little bit of a wake-up call. Hopefully, because of the way that he behaves to the opposition, that's exactly what he deserves. And it might well open his eyes a little bit and make him into a bit of a better person.
I don't think it went very well for Anderlecht. He was at Anderlecht prior to this. I don't think it went very well
There you
for him.
Well, is that because they didn't have a multi-million-pound squad to play with?
I doubt they did. It's Anderlecht.
Just asking.
I don't think there's loads of money in Belgian football.
No, exactly, precisely.
Wasn't it Burnley that got completely humbled by Man City in the FA Cup, losing 6-0 or something?
Yes, this season. Yeah.
Yeah, this season. So that's what you're up against next season. So, you know, a little bit of appreciation for the opposition when they are able to get a draw against a team doing exceptionally well. But I've watched his interview. No words of from at all. It's just Burnley. But then you watch Match Taylor's interview and he says, yeah, Burnley played exceptionally well.
We like Matt Taylor, though.
That's the difference. You respect your opposition.
Yeah. Yeah. So some really good points. Mike Miller just wants to come in on the referees. He has not very often criticised the referee, but can't understand why Bobby Madden didn't give a penalty against Jamie Lindsay's handball. Stonewall penalty in his book. Yes, I thought it was. I think I'm in the minority here. I thought Bobby Madden had an okay game on Tuesday. There was a lot of niggly little things that he didn't give, but I thought it was fine. Based on the level of Championship refereeing, which is quite low, I thought Bobby Madley was above that very low level. It could have given a penalty against him, could have given us a few things, but for the most part, I am willing to give him some credit.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it probably was a penalty, but then so was the self-same instance for us against Luton on in the previous game. That clearly wasn't given. So yeah, he missed that. The only thing that stuck in my craw a little bit was his trying to hurry us up when goalkeeper was wasting time. When we played Wickham and they wasted about 57, 58 minutes at game, and they never got a mention during that game that he refereed. That's a while ago though. So no, he did a decent job. No issues with him at all. And it was a penalty, but he missed it. And it is what it is, I guess.
It happens.
You could have argued that we should have had a penalty in the first half as well from that set piece when it hit their hand. See, evening it out. I don't know. Do they even it out?
Well, I mean, the handball rule, as we saw.
Let's not get onto this,
mate. Yesterday. Did you see that yesterday?
I mean that's. I know it's nothing to do with us. But I watched that game up until that point, and I couldn't watch it anymore.
Me too.
Absolute disgraceful operation of VAR. That.
Well, John Morrell says Mick giving a referee a compliment. Good job, I'm sat down. We just counteracted that.
I'm back up now, John.
Right. Moving on. We give referee credit. Let's move on. So the goalkeeping situation is a bit precarious, to be honest with you. We sit on Thursday evening. For some reason, the emergency loan rules are pointlessly complicated. So you can't sign anybody from the Premier League on loan. You can only sign somebody on loan from the EFL, which means it's obviously very difficult because everybody's in our league. Or the top keepers are. You can sign them for a 7-day maximum. And they can't be in your squad if your first, second choice keeper are in your squad as well. So if you sign, it seems to be the case that if we sign a keeper and Victor is fit for next Thursday, Victor can't play next Thursday because we've signed an emergency loan keeper. Then what do you do, Joe? Because if Victor might be available Saturday, which is he probably will be available Thursday, but if you bring somebody in, you can't play him Thursday, but it's really going to be really hard maybe on Humphreys to play him against Bristol City on Saturday. So we're in a really difficult situation to know what to do, really.
I trust our goalkeeping setup at Rotherham. I mean, let's be honest, we've got 3 cracking keepers, and Scott Brown seems to be doing a good job there. Yeah. I mean, I see it has been moved. Couldn't he not put the gloves on as backup? I don't know. I mean, do you take that risk with that 7-day? Like you say, if Victor's fit for Cardiff and they take somebody out tomorrow, then he wouldn't be able to play. I mean, I have been reading odds and sods during the day saying that, he has been on the grass, but not necessarily diving about. Well, that's not good if you're a keeper, is it? You've got to be diving about a little bit. So who knows? I mean, that's why we're here speculating and they get paid to make those decisions. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow, I suspect. But I don't think I'd have any problem with Humphrey. I think he did, gave a good show of himself on Tuesday, apart from, like you said, the odd bit of kicking.
Yeah, which I always suspect he can work on. I would have thought we saw with Victor in his first game. I think that would more add to nerves than anything else, to be honest with you. I can only assume a professional footballer can kick a ball. I've just got to put it down to nerves.
I think what hit me about Humphrey is how much bigger he is than both Victor and Vickers. He's not only taller, but he's a lot wider. He's a big lad. He's a big lad. Yeah.
He is. John Morell says that who you're going to get in right now is somebody who's not fit or somebody who's not been playing, not worth it. And this is the problem with not being able to win a third choice Premier League keeper, Danny, is a Scott Carson type player. That's who your third choice Premier League keepers are. Your third choice Championship keepers are people like Humphrey, who was a kid who's barely played in football. So it's and the Championship, how tight it is, you haven't got any of those teams that are not fighting for anything that might be willing to give the second choice keeper away because they've got nothing to fight for. It makes things quite difficult for everybody.
Yeah, it does. I I reckon we should bring Ben Foster in. He's done enough at Wrexham. They're basically up, bring him in for a week now. It's a little bit sticky with the Premier League situation because as a Championship team, that would be ideal, bringing in a Premier League third choice just for 7 days, just because we need the cover. But we're at the point now where the keepers who would stereotypically be our second choice keepers that are third choice elsewhere are teams up the top end, but they're not going to want to send people out, especially Burnley. They won't give us anything. Then the other teams are keeping hold of them for just in case. And then the further down you go, it's like, well, they're now the same level as Humphrey. So I can understand why Matt Taylor said in the advertiser that it's effectively them hitting their heads against a brick wall because no one will want to send as a keeper. And then you get to the point where you're going to have to be raiding lower down team second choice goalkeeper for 7 days. So if Ben Foster ever sees this, we could do with your help, pal, you're saying. But I do think the situation will end up being either Scott Brown works something out where he's the sub goalkeeper for a game, because we saw that with Exeter at times. So something similar could happen, or we take the risk where we start Humphrey and have Victor on the bench and pray that Humphrey doesn't pick up any sort of injury because Victor is still technically injured. Like I say, Joe, he's not been diving about, but he's just been doing handling training. So I could see that being the case because there is a slight chance Victor is fit enough for the Bristol City game. But personally, I can see Humphrey starting and Victor being on the bench to name a goalkeeper on the bench with no intention at all of bringing him on. And if Humphrey does go off injured, then we are seriously in trouble.
Yeah,
but the likelihood of that happening is still very, very slight.
Yeah. Scott Brown has played 4 times this season for Exeter. 1 League One game, 2 AFL Cup games, and a Football League Trophy game. So, again, I don't know what the rules are because we're outside of the free transfer window. So I don't know if he goes down as a free transfer or whether he's already registered somehow. If he could go on the bench. And
wasn't that the sticking point with his coaching contract with us, though, because he was still under player contract with Exeter?
Yeah. But nobody's asked that. No journalists have asked that question, so I don't know if that's... I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. John Morell says, don't even know what their third choice keeper is. A lot of people won't know our third choice keeper were until Tuesday. Now we all know. Any memories of this ever happening before? I mean, the transfer window is a relatively new thing, Mick, but I've never known an injury list like this, and certainly a goalkeeping situation is so rare for it to be all injuries.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's not in my memory, but my memory doesn't stretch back much further than tea time. So, it's a toughie, isn't it? But we say we enter injury crises like this every season round about this time of year. So, it's just the same. I've just been reading, saw something earlier on the Bristol Examiner or wherever it is, previewing Saturday's game, and I think between the two teams, there's 13 players out injured. You know, it's like
For the Mars.
yeah. Well, now between both teams, there's 13 first team players out injured. So you know, everybody's suffering from it. It's the time of the season, isn't it? And we've just been unlucky.
It's also the season it's been as well with World Cup and everything.
Yeah, we've been unlucky that both our goalkeepers have ended up with it. I'm tipping that Victor being Victor, he'll just go, yeah, I'm all right, boss. And then play for the rest of the season, because that's the type of bloke he is, isn't it?
I'll be honest, yeah, it is. I could genuinely see him just taking whatever medication he needs to take, whatever the strong cocodamol or whatever, is whatever injection he needs to take. I wouldn't fancy Victor playing on Saturday. If anybody can play through an injury, it's him, innit? Let's be fair.
What he said to us on that podcast about enjoying the pain or something.
He loves the pain, yeah.
He loves the pain,
yeah.
Madness.
Let's just talk about the survival picture in general, because I honestly don't even understand the survival picture at the minute. Or I thought I did understand it, and then I saw that we've got a less than 2% chance of going down, and the bookies have got us 80-1. I know the odds have gone down because all the Rotherham fans have lumped on 80-1, but they had us 80-1 to go down, which I don't really understand, Joe. I know a lot of the teams down there have got to play each other, but I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like somebody's not told the Rotherham fans something, because all these people from the outside are saying that we're safe. We're only 3 points off relegation. It feels really strange, and I don't understand.
Well, what I say, Matt, is, have you ever seen a poor bookie?
But exactly.
You know, have you ever seen a poor bookie? I personally haven't, and I really don't know. And I agree with you, because we're on the inside, aren't we? We're living it, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we can see that there's only 3 points between us and Reading. But if you look at it this way, I mean, I'm not a scenario that could happen this weekend is we beat Bristol City, Reading lose, we're safe.
Yeah.
Because they can only get the same amount of points that we can to win the last 2 games, and we lose our last 3 games. And because their goal difference is minus 20 odd, and ours is only minus 10.
Yeah.
And that's worth a point to us. And we shouldn't forget that our goal difference is really good, actually. It's very good for a team in the lower echelons, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, what we've got to do, Matt, we've got to all us Rotherham fans have got to put those positive vibes out there. Whether we believe in it or not, we've got to do it. Because if all 10,000, however many of us there are, think positively and send them vibes to the lads, then, I'm a big believer in the universe. The power of the universe.
If you've got
to grasp any straw, haven't you? You've got to grasp any straw. Let's be right.
Yeah. I think tickets are still on sale for Saturday. So if you are able to go down, if you can, go down and support the Millers, because they need your support. I know the ticket sales going well for Wigan, but get down Saturday if you can. I know it's a long trip.
I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be at Bristol.
Yeah. Get on down there. So again, just to talk about the picture again, Danny. There is a scenario where we can be safe before the end of the season. All we have to do is, before the final game, be in a better position than Huddersfield and a better position than Reading, because they play each other. So they obviously can't both pick up more than a point on the last day of the season. Huddersfield also play Cardiff, who are obviously below us as well. We're clearly in a very good position, even though it may not feel like it. We are clearly in a very good position. Do you think, right, we should look at that and think, well, we still feel safe, or you just head down, get on with your own job and not hope for the best, but we'll get the points?
In my opinion, we need to keep our heads down and crack on grinding out results that benefit us. I mean, Bristol City don't really have anything to play for, because if they win, they go to 56 and they don't move at all. So it's nice and comfortable mid-table for Bristol City, effectively regardless of how they play. But for us, 3 points or a point would be nice. Because I've got the table up on my phone. So yeah, we're 3 points in front of Reading with the game in hand and superior goal difference. The one worry for me is Cardiff, because Cardiff have snuck up after that win against Watford. So that game, is it a week today? It is, isn't it?
Week today, yeah.
A week today. That game a week today against Cardiff is, effectively which team wants the more calm finish to the season. But looking at the table, we are effectively top of like the little, I don't know, do you want to call it relegation scrap league at the bottom, because we're 8 points behind Stoke, and then 9 points above the bottom. So we're we're effectively slap bang in middle there. And then you've got all the other teams in 40s other than Blackpool. So it's a tight one, but we are looking the best as it stands of that tight bunch. And that's why we need to focus on ourselves and not what everybody else.
Yeah, you are right, but I'm going to go back to talking about everybody else now. There's 4 teams below us. All 4 teams have got to a better end to the season than us. It's also worth sort of noting that we play twice before Huddersfield play again. They should be playing Sheffield United this week, and obviously they're in the FA Cup, so we have the chance to put a real gap between us and Huddersfield, or one of the teams, or all the teams that we need to be getting gaps away from. The results on Wednesday night, Mick, everybody picked up points. Cardiff obviously won, which was obviously great for them, but everybody picked up points. But it didn't really hurt. It just put us back where we were, and there's one less game. And again, they've all got to play each other. Us and Cardiff are all going to play each other within the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks of the season left now. It's weird.
The important point to note here is exactly what Joey just said there. If we win on Saturday and Reading lose, we are safe, because that puts us 6 points in front of them, and they've only got 2 games to play. Yeah. So let's. They
could win them both. They have got Wigan and Huddersfield.
Yeah, they could win them both, but they'd have to win them both 15-0.
Well, so we've got a -10 goal difference. They've got -19.
Right. So they'd have to. But if they lose on Saturday and we win,
well, yeah, exactly.
That'll be bigger. So they'll have to have a massive swing, and us not pick up another point all season. So, let's go for that, shall we? Let's just look at Saturday and take it from there. I think you can write Cardiff off as going down. I think you can probably write Huddersfield off as going down, and as a consequence, I think you can write us off as going down. It's between QPR and Reading for me. I kind of hope it's QPR, but I also kind of hope it's Reading. So I don't really care in that respect. But it's going to be one of those two. But so long as we do our job, starting Saturday, 3 points, 3 easy points, happy days, safety, here we come.
Huddersfield have got Cardiff away, Sheffield United at home, and then finish with Reading at home.
That could be a game and a half.
Correct. That's why it's important to stay away from them. If we can keep them below us, or even level on points, if one of them is level on points, one's below, we're still safe. I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I can't see us going down. And I know I could come and eat my words in 2 weeks' time, but I've so much confidence in this team. That performance on Tuesday was not the performance of the team that gets relegated. It's just not. Or it shouldn't be. The players have got to back it up again. And I think they will. I'm really confident they will. Josh hits not mathematically. Yeah, so on Saturday we can't mathematically be safe. We can be basically safe because, as Mick and Joy pointed out, we're 6 points clear with 6 points left to play for Reading. If we win and Reading lose, we can then pick up a draw against Cardiff and we're safe, or draw against any other team and we're safe. But we've got to win that means we've got to win Saturday. So let's move on to that, I suppose. It's just fun. It's fun relegation battle, isn't it?
It's not. It's stressful.
It's very stressful. Yeah, I was feeling great on Tuesday night, and then 24 hours later, I'm thinking, God, and they've only picked up a point, and I was still down about it. So, a few stats just to cheer all up. Rotherham United are the lowest scorers away from home this season, with only 11 away goals. Only Reading are next above. They've got 14 goals. John Rell can do everybody a favour this weekend and relegate Blackpool if Birmingham win. That'd be nice for everybody. The referee is Josh Smith, who refereed us, I have it here, at Blackpool away, which was the second worst game of the season, according to us. But the referee was mostly anonymous, I think. So that's illegal. That's what we're looking for. We haven't had time to pick up on a lot of people's individual performances, which does happen at this time of the season. But let's just sort of pick that up for going forward, Joy. What do you want to see going forward? There's a possibility Tyler Blackett might be fit. It might be a big ask on Woody to play your first 90 minutes in a long time and then straight away on Saturday. If Blackett's fit, would you? Woody were brilliant, to be fair, but it's a fitness issue, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. I mean, and that's it. And Woody would, I suspect, with the coaching staff, make that decision, because he did have a good game, didn't he? Let's be honest, he didn't put foot wrong. I mean, he's going to be done for pace, but you think about it, I wonder if that, obviously there was Bramall around him, there was Humphreys around him, and that calm head, and I think he helped Humphrey as well, to be brutally honest, because he was in his ear all the time, wasn't he? Giving him the geeing him up, etc. And you can't buy that experience, can you? And I think he will possibly play a part on Saturday. I don't know, because it seems that between Peltier and Blackett, they can't do a full 90 minutes between them. I mean, even Peltier stopped. I couldn't work out whether it was it looked like initially holding his hamstring, and then obviously it might have been cramp. So, who knows? Because Wes came in as well and did okay when he came back on again. I really don't know. I mean, I have a problem with either of them playing, to be honest, Matt.
I think that's where I am, to be honest with you. Whoever's fit, just chuck them in. I'm content with any of them.
Yeah.
We switched to a 5, Danny, obviously, to stop their width. Matt Taylor's talked about their pace that they have and how they like to run in behind the defence. Do you think that means a 3 at the back would be more likely to maybe have Woody potentially sitting deeper or Humphrey sitting deeper, that bit of pace? Or do you want to see us back to 4-3-3, which was working?
For me, it depends on how Bristol are going to line up against us. I mean, I've just got the last starting 11 up on FootMob, and it looks like a 4-2-3-1 from them. So there's looks like a bit of pace out wide, a little bit in the middle. So personally, I'd go what we know, which is 4-3-3, if I'm being honest, because we could slightly switch our 4-3-3 to try and match up to them a bit more in midfield, by bringing your wide players ever so slightly deeper in, because then we've got the 5 in midfield, and so have they. So yeah, for me, it's do what you know, which is your 4-3-3, because away from home we haven't been the best. We've picked up points here and there, but we've only won twice all season, which is still our best return in a long time away from home. But I'd like to have one more away win just to see it out, And I think with Kelly putting in a strong performance, Chio putting in a strong performance, Coventry putting in, there are a lot of strong performances across the board against Burnley. Hopefully those players can then take that into Saturday at Bristol and put in another strong performance. If we need to cater to certain injured players, like with Blackett and Peltier and stuff, and potentially bring Woody in, potentially dropping back to a 5, I can see it. But to match up to Bristol City to begin with, I would start with 4-4-3 and then make that adjustment possibly at half time, maybe in the second half. Yeah.
Brentford Bowley then for 4-4-3.
No, sorry, 4-3-3. Start with 4-3-3 and then switch to the 5 at the back if needs be.
Yeah. John Morrell says they've got some cracking young players. Alex Scott, I thought was injured, is unfortunately not injured. He is a Premier League player, possibly a future England player, to be honest with you. He is an exceptional player. Mick's laughing.
Yeah, he is when he's on his feet, isn't he? Most of the time he's spending it throwing himself on the floor, isn't he?
All right.
He is one of the players that I've picked out over this championship season as one that I have a big dislike for. He's a cheat. He's a cheat, and then and I go back to everything. I keep saying it. You know, he's an exceptional footballer. He's a great talent, no doubt about it, and that just makes it worse because he feels the need to cheat as well. So, yeah, he's a good player, but
okay,
just my view.
Midfield, Nick. Midfield. Let's move on to our midfield. For me, Jimmy Lindsay and Conor Coventry are your bread and butter right now. They were both brilliant. They've both been brilliant recently. You then question, do you disagree with that before I ask you the actual question?
No, I'm nodding. Did I shake my head?
No, that's fine. I was making sure. Your question then comes, who next? Because he has played Fosso in the past, but Keena was exceptional on Tuesday. My worry is for someone like Keena that he's maybe got the fossils about him, that he's maybe a bit inconsistent. So if you've got that on Tuesday, is he going to provide it again? But he were a bright spark. Would you stick with Keena in that midfield? I would.
100%. The difference between them, I don't think he will be like Fosso. I don't think he will be in and out of games. And I've said this about Tariq Fosso before. There's something there that suggests to me, and I could be completely wrong, that he's not really that bothered about being here, and that might just be the way he plays, his personality. But Keena is a bit like Chio in that he plays with a smile on his face. You know, he was standing in the tunnel at the end of the game there on Tuesday night. He loves it. He's enjoying it, and he's a talented footballer without a doubt. So yeah, I wouldn't consider. It wouldn't even be in a thought to put him back on the bench. He's got to start.
Yeah. Matt Miller says on the keeper it will be a big called player rookie keeper. Yeah, it would, but situation might dictate otherwise. This brings on to another defensive question. Matt Miller says thought Bramall was superb on Tuesday, stood out for him as the best player. Again, I think he was one of the best players. Joy, would you be tempted at all though to bring Yelder back in? Or Bramall because Bramall's been good in a few games recently. It's not just a one-off, is it, for Bramall? He's had a good run.
No, I mean, I thought he was excellent on Tuesday. I thought he was really, like you say, he was one of the standout players, you know, and the covering that he did, his pace got him out of one or two issues. And when they went beyond us to those wide positions, I mean, his coverings runs were exceptional. And was it the second half, he made one exceptional tackle, that everybody, it was awesome. I don't know if you remember it on that right-hand side. But yeah, I don't think you could drop him after that performance. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Helder's a smashing player and he's skillful in his own rights, but he does have a more of a rick in him as well. And if we're talking about Bristol having pace, we need that to offset that with our own pacey players, don't we? I mean, and going back to sort of midfield, don't forget we saw Wiles' cameo on Tuesday as well. Which was nice to see him back on the grass. I don't know whether he'll be on the bench or whether Rathbone's anywhere near likely to be on the bench. But like you said, there's no problem with Jamie and Conor Coventry. He seems to be improving game on game as well, doesn't he? And it's just that whether you put Wes in to start or whether you choose Peltier, again, Wes has upped his game recently. Yeah. But again, because he's got more pace than Peltier, but then Peltier's got the nous, hasn't he?
Cool.
A bit like Woody. So I don't know.
We'll see. The pretty-much press conferences from Matt Taylor are a bit of a waste of time. Is he fit? I don't know. They're going to see if they train Friday. Just a waste of time, really. I don't know. So Rathbone might be fit. Blackett might be fit. Victor might be fit. Ben Wiles might be fit. I think everybody else is just about there, I think. So I'll have to wait and see on Saturday. Saturday at 3:00. Let's go for predictions. Nobody got the score prediction right on Tuesday. I got a draw, but I don't count for much. I went 0-0. Danny, do you want to start us off? What you think? How you think Saturday will go?
Well, as it stands on Thursday night, we don't have a lot of information about how we're going to line up, so it's all guesswork. I mean, my lineup I've got in front of me is Hemfrey, Peltier, Wood, Humphrey, Bramall, Coventry, Lindsay, Keena, Ogbenny, Fergie, Hugill, and Hugill's best case scenario with his illness. You know what? I'll go 1-0 to us.
Okay.
It'll be, it's a guess, it's going to be very similar to Stoke and Sheffield United, where we match up to them well, we come out the blocks really, really quickly off the confidence of the Burnley game, and we nick a goal and then defend it for our lives, like at Stoke.
Yeah. I'd take that. Mick?
I'm going to be positive. But I think we'll concede. I'm going to be positive. I think we'll concede, but we're going to score more. I'm going to go 2-1 Millers.
2-1 for Millers. Not a 6-4 or something stupid like that, no.
I'll do that if you want. Yeah, 6-4 Millers, yeah.
Joy, what do you think?
Mick, you must have read my mind because I thought exactly the same. I think we'll concede, but I do think we'll win 2-1. I think last time I went to Bristol, we won 2-1.
There you go, Omen.
Yeah,
and I'm going this time. So
yeah, I'll take that. I'm going to go 1-1. Teams with nothing to play for can be dangerous, can't they? Can be really dangerous. Just to run through everybody else's fixtures: Coventry host Reading. Reading have the worst away record in the division, so that'd be a turn up the looks if Reading picked up anything. Burnley host QPR, which could see Burnley win the league. I don't know the permutation. I don't know if they need a win or a draw, but Burnley could win the league at home. And Cardiff, who are looking increasingly like they're out of it, but still include them anyway. Cardiff host Stoke. Wigan can go down, by the way, if anybody's interested in that. I don't think we are. Sorry, Wigan fans.
Well, it's one ticked off, isn't it?
It's one ticked off, that's right. Yeah, if we pick up a point, we will be uncatchable by Blackpool, I think. Which again is just something to tick off. Well, again,
is that if we pick up a point and Birmingham beat them?
Well, they're on 38 points and we're on 46. So, and they're because a point would be anything, because a point would keep us. If they win and we pick up a point, that's 7 points the gap, isn't it? With 2 games left.
Yeah.
So yeah, a point for us would take away Blackpool.
Okay.
Josh says 1-1 Mehmeti and Wood. 1-0 to the Mill, says Kim. Harvey Kelly says 1-0. Howard says 1-1. John Morell sat there in 16th place laughing at us. He says 1-1. But he thinks QPR and Reading are going to win to make it interesting. Damien Coward says 2-1 to the Millers. Jan Bieber says 3-1 to Bristol City. Michael Carnell says it's going to be very close, 1-1 or 2-1 either way. Mike the Miller, Nicholas Skidmore say 1-1. Steve Grundy says 2-1 to the Millers. And Troop Channels Roma 64 says 3-1 to them. Surprised that we're seeing some predictions of defeat. We might lose, but I'm surprised we're seeing those predictions, especially after Tuesday. Yeah, that's where we are. We are close to survival, Millers fans. We are really, really close. We're as close as we've been in a little while. It feels we're closer we've ever been to being comfortably survived. But
shall I hit you with the past season stats?
Well, I know we've not hit this points total for quite a long time. Maybe under Warnock, we're not hit this points total. This
is our best season in the Championship after 42 games since 2015-16, when at this point we were on 47 points. Yeah. The time before that was 2003-04, where we were in the same position we are now in 18th, but on 49 points.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. I just want Saturday to come so we can get over and done with, and then we'll go from there. We will be back on Sunday for the review of this one. Well, they'll be back next Wednesday because we're playing Thursday next week. We'll do a day earlier. And if survival's confirmed by the Cardiff game, we might be convinced to do an emergency pod next Friday to celebrate it. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of games. Subscriber update, because everybody's going to like these, because Danny's getting very, very close to eating some that smelly, horrible Swedish fish.
Oh,
we are, as time of recording, in 973. So we only need, 27?
Yeah.
27 left. That's got massively since last episode.
Oh dear.
So please do subscribe. And what I might do for you now, just look up some videos of people eating the Swedish fish and just send them.
Don't worry. I've already seen those videos and they're horrific. But I am committed, because I want this podcast to get to 1,000 subscribers. So remember, get subscribing, and if we hit 1,000 before the end of the Wigan game, so we could be safe, which is worth the subscribing in the future. But before the end of the Wigan game, if we get to 1,000, I will be doing it.
Yes, that's the weekend game, which is the bank holiday Monday, the 8th. My favourite thing was we had a comment on Facebook a few days ago from somebody who just used all his family and friends' accounts and subscribed through them as well.
Oh dear.
That's the count up. I was a big fan of that. Yeah. Anything else that we need to cover tonight? We've covered a lot. We've gone long, as we always do at this time of the season. Anything else we need to cover? Or can we just go relax for a bit?
I'll just respond to Cheryl Stone's comment about those 2 seasons. Yes, we did survive in those 2 seasons. 03-04 was comfortable. 15-16 was a little bit squeakier, but still survived.
Yeah, fun times. So as mentioned, please subscribe if you haven't already. Mick, thank you for being with us.
No, you're very welcome.
You've upset a lot of Burnley fans. You've upset Alex Scott from Bristol City.
Going to end the season, I don't care.
I know you don't.
But it doesn't matter what point of season it is, I don't care.
Paul Salt's doing another Youth Cup score. Yeah, they lost 2-0 sadly, the under-18s, but get to a final is still a great achievement.
Absolutely.
So well done to them for getting to that stage. Joy, thank you for being with us tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you back with us. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And Chuki Chuma, give a big fat cheer for us on Saturday as well. For anyone that's not going. And Danny as well, yourself. Thank you for being with us. No camera again because your Wi-Fi is horrific. But it's a pleasure to hear from you.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with it, but I'm still here. So,
yeah. Thank you, everybody. Please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify if you're listening there as well. That helps us. That helps the show. Hopefully, move forward. And we will see you Sunday. Thank you, everybody, and up the Mills.
Up the Millers.
Send them positive vibes to Bristol, everybody.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant! Mule with it, Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again! The magic man has come up with another trick! Well, here's a chance to seal it, it's done! It's Georgie Kelly!